Looking for a new chicken and vegetable soup recipe? If so, try Argentine Puchero. Simple, easy, delicious, nutritious, and colorful, this is sure to be your new go-to chicken soup recipe. If you're curious, keep watching. So the first step of making this chicken and vegetable soup is boiling the chicken. Here I have 2 pounds of chicken legs. I pulled off the skin to make it healthier. You could also use chicken leg quarters, thighs, whatever you want, but I recommend dark meat because it tastes much better boiled. In there. And then I'm going to add my vegetable broth. I'm going to add 3 cups of my vegetable broth. A little bit of extra water to cover the chicken, probably 2 to 3 cups of water, along with 1 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to add some more water to this, but I'm going to turn on the heat to high and bring it to a boil. So the chicken has now come to a boil. There is some foam on the top, which I think that if you wanted to skim it, you could, but I never do. I'm going to turn it down from high, 6 out of 6, to medium, 3 out of 6. Might mix it up a little bit, but not too much. As you can see, I did add a bit more water, but not a lot. That is an important thing to remember when making this chicken and vegetable soup recipe, because Argentine Puchero has a lot of large vegetables. So if you add too much water now, when you start adding the vegetables, the water will run over. So minimal water for now. Like I said, this will boil for half an hour on its own, and then I'll start adding the vegetables. So the chicken has been boiling for half an hour. Now it's time to add the vegetables. The whole idea behind an Argentine Puchero is that you'll have a chicken soup with vegetables, with large pieces of vegetables that remain whole and that are suspended in a lightly flavored broth. So I cut the vegetables accordingly. First I'm going to put in 25 grams of garlic, about 3 or 4 cloves, red onion, which I cut in an interesting way. I put it on its side and I sliced it like that. And then the root part, I went down the middle. This part will stay whole, while the top part will fall apart. I really like the taste of red onion. It's been cooked. 250 grams of the red onion, and I have some small yellow onions, 150 grams total. Put one in now and save the rest for later. Here I have my main root vegetables: butternut squash 350 grams, sweet potato 300 grams, and white potato 250 grams. Like I said, cut into large pieces. But first, I took 50 grams each of the butternut squash and the sweet potato, a piece about this size, and I chopped it very finely. This, over the cooking time, will break down to form an orange, slightly sweet broth that is very delicious. I'm going to put this in first and make sure that it can sink down to the bottom and cook as much as possible, because like I said, I want that to break apart. Now for the potatoes. Squash, really, like I said, no rhyme or reason. Some of the pieces are bigger than others. Some of them I cut, some of them I didn't. Nice, rough, rustic chop. Put it in there. I think it's most critical that the potatoes and the white potatoes are in the broth, in the water. The butternut squash, it has a tendency to fall apart very easily, so if that's resting on the top, that's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to push this down. As everything cooks, it will sink into the broth. I could add a bit more water, but I'm going to add more vegetables, so I'm going to hold off on that right now. Like I said, the key is that the butternut squash can float on the top, but the white potato and the sweet potato, those need to be in the water as much as possible. So this is the first round of vegetables. You want to stagger the vegetables because, like I said, with the puchero, the vegetables are whole in the chicken soup. And if you add everything at once, some are going to fall apart before the others. So this is the first round of vegetables. I will be back in half an hour. So the first round of vegetables have been cooking for actually 40 minutes, but that's okay. What I'm going to do, as you can see, they did sink down a bit, but any pieces that were sticking out of the water, like the potato over there, I'm just going to push them down. Now for the vegetables. I have quite a few, as you will see, and this isn't even all of them. I have 3 green onions that I'm leaving whole, 50 grams. I'm going to find a way to squash them in where I can, find a hole. This one I might just put on top. Then I have 1 medium carrot, 75 grams. I have 2 stalks of celery, which came out to 66 grams. Some of the pieces I'm going to find a hole and poke them in, the others I'll put on the top. Here I have 100 grams of chopped, just red bell pepper pieces. I like to leave them big like that, so that's half of a large bell pepper. As you can see, the water is rising as I'm sticking things in, so that's why I said don't add too much water in the beginning. Here I have 379 grams of frozen corn. I would just do 2 ears of corn if it's in season. It is not right now. This is actually the most difficult thing to put in because it's not long and thin. But honestly, the corn cooks pretty quickly, so I'm not too concerned. This is also another reason why I did not cut all of the pieces of vegetables exactly the same, because sometimes you have to maneuver them so that they can fit. And this carrot, so I'll put on top, and this green onion I will set on top. There's just one other thing left to add, so I will come back in probably 10 to 15 minutes. When there are about 10 minutes left, then I will add the Swiss chard.
After a few minutes, the vegetables will start to soften and sink down into the water, so it's a good idea to try to push what's floating on the top down a bit more into the water. However, notice that I'm not really stirring. Not only would stirring be very difficult in this pot because it's so full, it would also cause the vegetables to break apart a bit more, which would ruin the whole concept behind a bowl of puchero. Large pieces of vegetables suspended in a lightly flavored broth. So trying to push things down into the water every once in a while is a good idea, but trying to stir would be a lot of quilombo.
So it's actually been 25 minutes since the last round of vegetables. 5 minutes into the cooking of the second round, I did stir it a little bit so that what was really sticking out could get into the broth. But other than that, I left it alone. You can see as things wilt, they fit better. Now for the last vegetable, I am going to add some Swiss chard Usually in Argentina for puchero they like green chard, but red chard, I like the flavor a little bit better, and it was on sale, so that is what we're using today. If you have never used Swiss chard, it's a very delicate, very neutral flavor, kind of like spinach. Mustard greens or collard greens have a stronger flavor than this, so if you like spinach but you don't like mustard greens or collard greens, then give Swiss chard a try. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in as whole as possible. That's the idea of a puchero. The things be whole, but I know that's probably not realistic. Some of the pieces, it's like with the bell pepper, I'm going to jam down in there if I can. The others I'm just going to put on top. This cooks pretty quickly. I get it when it's on sale and I freeze it. And if you use frozen Swiss chard, it's done in maybe 2 or 3 minutes, if that. I'm just going to put this on top, and in about 5 minutes I'm going to come back and push it down in because it will have wilted even more, and then this will be almost ready to eat finally. So it's been about 5 minutes, and the Swiss chard, I added 100 grams. It's starting to wilt, so I'm going to push it down into the water. It's probably going to cook for another 5 minutes, and then it will be done. So I let the Swiss chard go for another 10 minutes. It is now done. I'm going to turn off the heat, let this cool down for 5 to 10 minutes, and then serve. So my chicken and vegetable soup has rested for about 10 minutes. Now it's time to serve. The chicken is in there, I promise you, it's just buried. I'm going to serve one piece of vegetable at a time. So I have my Swiss chard, some sweet potato, this piece here too. Red bell pepper, piece of potato, butternut squash, green onion, corn. As you can see, it's still very hot. The rest of the green onion and some purple onion. Actually, no, that's okay. And then the yellow onion, and the carrot and the celery. Ah, nice. Usually the carrot and the celery and the onions, I leave those for the broth that I will make when I'm done. So here is my chicken with vegetable soup recipe, Argentine chicken puchero. Buen provecho. I almost forgot, I have a ladle here to serve up some of the broth. Just a little bit, because like I said, I'm going to save most of it. As you can see, some of the butternut squash and sweet potato that's fallen apart. So make this broth lightly sweet and delicious. As I said earlier, the idea of the chicken and vegetable soup puchero is to have pieces of vegetables suspended in a lightly flavored broth. This is meant to be a light and refreshing dish, but not a very heavily flavored dish. But if you want to add something, you could add some lemon zest right when you serve it. Very, very nice. Or off to the side you could have a bit of vinegar. I'm using red wine vinegar. I think that's the best, but apple cider vinegar will work as well. Or some lemon juice off to the side, and use the vinegar or lemon juice, the sour liquid, as a dipping sauce for pieces of meat and vegetable. And honestly, I think it's good just as it is.
Like I said, this chicken puchero is absolutely delicious. My suggestion is to keep a small bowl off to the side with the chicken bones and corn cobs. You're going to want to save those to make the broth. Once you're finished eating, return the larger chicken bones and the corn cobs to the leftover broth and add a little bit more water, maybe 1 to 2 cups. Bring it to a boil and then turn it down to a low simmer 2 out of 6 for about 1 hour. The collagen from the chicken, little scraps of meat, and the tiny bits of vegetables will come together to create an absolutely delicious broth. It's nice and sweet from the bits of sweet potato and butternut squash, and it's perfect for making oatmeal. I know that people outside of Argentina might find it odd to use this leftover chicken soup broth to make oatmeal, but trust me, it's delicious. You could also use it to boil pasta or to make rice, but trust me, this is the best thing to use to make oatmeal. I always use quick cooking oatmeal, so all I have to do is scoop the warm broth over the oatmeal and it's done in basically 2 or 3 minutes. A lot of Argentines will tell you that the best part of a puchero is the leftover broth, and honestly, I'd have to agree. If you're looking for a good chicken soup or chicken soup bone broth recipe, try Argentinian Puchero. It's delicious, nutritious, and relatively inexpensive, so it should be no surprise that the expression ganar el puchero, which means to earn the puchero, is synonymous with earning a living. I know I've made puchero in the past, but this version is more flavorful and more colorful, so if you haven't tried it yet, be sure to give it a try. Although cutting all the vegetables is a bit of quilombo, it's all worth it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also, for more information about this and other Argentinian and Southern recipes, please visit my website, parnellthechef.com. And don't forget to follow me on social media. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye!